Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Generation Z podcast. This is episode 38. And in this podcast, we wanted to speak about the importance of having positive self-talk, or in other words, an internal dialogue with ourselves, in order for us to become the best versions of ourselves and achieve happiness from within. Because at times, I think as a society, and as individuals, we can either be our own best friend in terms of how we kind of have this internal dialogue with each other, how we talk to ourselves, how we react to certain situations, and also on the other hand, probably the more negative end of the stick is that we can also be our worst enemy, just through kind of the mental image that we have of ourselves nowadays. Obviously there's a lot of like social media, there's a lot of comparison, there's a lot of comparing with other people, thinking that we're inferior or we're not as good as this person who portrays a perfect life on social media. And I think our mental image is obviously a huge factor in how we conduct ourselves in our daily lives. And it's all about having a belief system and a realistic belief system. And this belief system is going to just dictate our reactions and how we converse with the world on a daily basis.
So if you enjoyed today's podcast, then please do subscribe or follow us on whatever platform you're listening on. We do also have a YouTube page if you prefer to watch the podcast. And we have an Instagram page as well. It's @_GenerationZ. And me and Sam's socials will also be in the description as well. But we'll kind of start this podcast with a topic called self-hypnosis. So we act and feel not according to what things are actually like, but according to the image your mind holds of what they're like. So something like this would be somebody who identifies themselves. Obviously, I'm going to go down the gym route because I'm into the gym. And somebody that identifies as somebody that doesn't miss a meal, that goes to every workout, that gets their cardio done. And then if you have somebody that goes or has the self-talk of, I just never would be that person that could stay on track. I just wouldn't be able to do 5 workouts a week. Guess what? If you think like that, you have that self-talk, then you're going to miss the gyms because you're making your gym sessions because you're making yourself believe that. I think that's kind of like the whole idea of what self-hypnosis is, kind of speaking to yourself and making yourself actually believe certain things based on your thoughts.
Yeah, I think our belief systems are very much to do with our past experiences. Our past experiences have been a major factor in who we are today, and that can be of benefit to us. As I said in the introduction, that can allow us to be our best friend in certain situations, because our past experiences, our past successes can allow us to be confident in a certain situation. And so, for example, obviously you're talking about the gym. You've had a lot of experience with counting or recording your calorie intake, ensuring that we're progressively overloading, all these sorts of stuff. You've gained years and years of confidence in that.
Yeah.
So you have a positive self-image of being an active individual. But if you have barely any experience in going to the gym, or your belief system is that you don't see yourself as someone that goes to the gym, then ultimately that is going to limit you, because you haven't identified with a person who's physically active, or someone who has that determination or that commitment to stay dedicated to the gym. So you're not going to do it, are you, realistically?
Yeah, exactly. And I was reading a book probably like a month ago now. It's called Think and Grow Rich. Highly recommend it. Really good. And then something in there was talking about how you can kind of impact your subconscious mind. And one of the ways to do it is just the repetitions of ideas or beliefs that you have about yourself. Or, well, this is why like affirmations are so popular.
Yeah.
And I used to think like, what is an affirmation? Like you sit there and just go like, I'm confident, I'm this, I'm that. You're like, what? And then when you actually look at it and you realize that you can impact your subconscious mind that way, it's actually quite important. And like your subconscious mind will start making you think certain ways or doing certain things without you really thinking about it. So if you start telling yourself that I do go to the gym, I do work out, all of that kind of stuff. Obviously, it doesn't have to be gym related. I'm just doing that as an example. You'll start to get in that flow and kind of identify with that kind of person, is what I'm trying to say.
100%. I think if you're able to be kind of aware of your subconscious thoughts and use the thoughts, the confidence thoughts, the positive self-talk that your subconscious mind is projecting, then, and you're able to accept that, then you're able to hold yourself to quite a high standard. You're able to go about life with like a degree of confidence within yourself as a person because of how you see yourself, your mental image, and also accepting yourself. Because I think a lot of people, they have a negative self-image because they're obviously comparing themselves to a lot of other people. But they go like, for example, I believe a lot of girls compare themselves physically with a lot of other girls on Instagram. She's like, oh, she's got a small waist, she's got a nice bum, she's got all these attractive features, but ultimately you're not her, and you've grown up in a completely different situation. You've got so many other things to consider. So there's no benefit of you comparing yourself in that way, and that just like pushes the power of this self-hypnosis on you, because you're constantly thinking like, oh, I'm not as good as this person, I'm not as good as this person, and ultimately you're just going to believe that for the rest of your life until you stop like the self-hypnosis that you're essentially putting yourself under.
Like we've both read The Power of Now, and something in there it says is like you get caught in this kind of negative thought loop. So if you have one bad thought, suddenly you're going to get another bad thought, and then that's going to lead to another bad thought, and then you just keep on going round and round and round.
It's actually mental from one thought that you start with, and then you end with something completely different out of context, a lot worse, and so much worse. And you're like, I just started with one thought, and now I'm like thinking about how something terrible has happened when it's just all in your head. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, literally.
It's crazy.
If you ever sit there and think, and you're having like really bad thoughts, try and figure out like what it actually stems from, and it'll probably be over nothing. But I also think like, how many times have we said before, like the importance of environment. Like, if you've always got somebody, no matter how much good self-talk you're doing, and somebody's just like, oh no, you can't do that, straight away it puts you right back to the start, and you've got to do it all again. You finally feel like you're getting somewhere, somebody comes up and says something, and it puts you right back to the start. I honestly think you'd be better off alone and just listening to like, I don't know, podcasts, self-help, that kind of shit, because that will be better than just people keep on telling you, oh, you can't do that, because you're just going to stay in the same place.
It does not help you. It puts you under essentially, as I said at the start, like in the introduction, it's like you can either be your best friend and always back yourself in your corner. Like you can always be there in your corner being like, you've got this, you can do this, like staying persistent. But as soon as you have, as you said, one negative comment coming into your environment, it can throw you. And like the power of that is very much underestimated, and that's why I think a lot of people don't start with whatever they're doing. I think
Yeah, definitely.
they just continue, they just like kind of essentially wait for someone to say, oh, you can't do that, and then they'll go, yeah, you're right, I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah, literally. It's so weird.
Ah,
And I think a really good way to kind of break this, well, if you do get caught in kind of a negative cycle, is meditation. And for people that don't meditate or don't really know what it is, you probably have this weird concept of like, just close your eyes and get all zen.
yeah, and you levitate off
Yeah.
off the floor. Yeah,
All that kind of
sometimes happens.
sometimes. But no, like, trust me, really good. So basically, the whole idea behind it is you are not your thoughts. So
Yeah,
when your mind is racing with negative thoughts, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm ugly, whatever, right? Sit there, and in the power of now, it says like observe, observe the thought. So you can have these thoughts and just kind of sit back and don't kind of judge them, but just be like, all right, that's a thought that's popped up. That's a thought that's popped up. You'll start to realize thoughts have no power, right?
yeah,
So listening to a thought is a choice. And that sounds so basic, but when you actually like realize it, it's kind of like a, oh shit kind of moment. You can
yeah,
kind of think, all right, your mind is always going to try and fill you with doubt or anxiety in order to protect you. So if you're going to meet a new group of people one day, your mind's going to go, oh, but what if this happens? What if that happens? Because,
yeah. What if they don't like me? What if, yeah,
yeah, and the
what if they
whole
don't accept me? Yeah,
exactly, and the whole reason behind it is because your mind likes what's predictable. So something's not predictable, e.g., getting outside your comfort zone. Your mind's going to do everything in its power to tell you not to do that.
yeah.
So that's when you kind of got to realize, right, that's just a thought. That thought doesn't mean anything. I can do that if I want, kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I think distancing yourself from a negative self-image that you have of yourself, or a negative mental image in that situation, allows you to be more relaxed and
Yeah.
just be more present, because that is what meditation is. It is not so much disregarding thought and like rejecting it. It's kind of being aware that it's there,
Mm.
understanding it, and then using it to your advantage. Like you can, like, so say for example, if you've got, if you're meditating for example, and you do have like a negative thought come into your, like, come into your environment, you can use that and use it as a trigger to then think about something more positive.
Mm.
And we've, a lot of people have been thinking negatively about themselves for such a long time that they don't know that they're doing it,
Yeah, it's mad.
do they?
Yeah. It's a horrible cycle to get into.
Mm,
Just think about it. I'd say to anybody listening to this or who's enjoying this so far, definitely read The Power of Now. I think this explains it in a lot of detail.
yeah,
And it's kind of like, it was not from The Power of Now, it was a different, it was an app. I can't remember what it's called. Headspace. That was it.
Headspace, yeah, it's a meditation app, isn't it?
Yeah. On there, it's basically explaining meditation is like the sky is blue, right? The sky is always blue. And when you're having a bad day, it's grey clouds.
Hmm.
And the grey clouds, above the grey clouds, the blue sky is always going to be there.
Yeah,
So no matter what's going on, the blue sky is always there. Even though you have those grey clouds, like, you can ignore them or you can get through them, and the blue sky is always going to be there. I hope this kind of makes sense. I'm an
yeah.
absolute idiot.
Nah, explained it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like that is probably how I'd explain meditation as well.
Yeah.
It's like it gives you a sense of clarity
Yeah.
after you're done. Like everything just feels like more calm and more peaceful, and you, a lot of people don't stay present in that moment, do they? Like a lot of,
No.
there's so many distractions, there's so many thoughts going on in everyday like life. And I think just having a moment of clarity, like 10 minutes meditation, would definitely allow you to kind of get control of this self-hypnosis and kind of realize that having an internal dialogue that is negative is mainly due to the unrealistic expectations that we hold of ourselves through like comparing ourselves to others. And as I said, like this will determine your reactions that you're going to have with your environment. So for example, if you're going for an interview and you have a negative self-image of yourself, you don't think deep down that you're employable to even go for a job. Like you're limiting yourself or limiting your potential before you've even got into the situation.
Yeah,
haven't you really? And also like a house, so say for example a house party, you're going to a house party, if you hold a negative self-image about yourself, you're gonna be thinking about ways to make you're gonna feel like more mechanical. You're gonna want to predict what's gonna happen during that night and be like try and yeah, it's almost as if like you could like be you've created a script that you're going off,
like pre-planning conversations.
Pre-planning conversations and just not being your true self, and not because you're holding an unrealistic expectation of yourself. And if you were to just understand that like having a positive self-talk within yourself is just going to allow like that confidence of knowing yourself to come through, people are going to be more attracted to that than you just being like scarce about all the environments that you're in, you know?
100%. Like people get caught up in this kind of inferiority complex. And I know you read the book, was it
Psycho-Cybernetics? Yeah.
Psycho-Cybernetics. And one of the things it said in there is like at least 95% of people have their lives blighted by the feelings of inferiority in one way or another. And ultimately, it's just like going to limit your success and happiness massively.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like it almost sounds a bit harsh, but it is down to you. Like,
yeah, 100%. Nobody is going to be able to convince you that you're someone like that you're this great person or this confident person if you constantly hold that negative self-image that you're not. You can't persuade as like you try persuade someone in like a conversation about something, they are so deep rooted into their own beliefs, their belief system, that it's so hard to persuade them out. So as you said, it's all down to you. Like there's no way someone else is going to be able to change your own self-image. It's just not possible.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, like it doesn't even matter if you had somebody by your side the whole day telling you that you're this, you're that, you're smart, you're confident, whatever. Because if you don't actually believe it, then it's not going to work. Like, it's never going to get you anywhere. And as well with the inferiority complex, I read a book called The Courage to Be Disliked. And something it talks about in there was like people actually get a buzz from feeling inferior and they don't actually realize it. So they enjoy playing the victim. So say something bad happens to you, you can't wait to tell other people something's bad happened to you because you feel like so many bad things happen to me that I feel superior at having bad things happen to me.
Yeah,
that's how messed
twisted,
up it is.
Isn't it? It's twisted.
It's so weird. And there's more people like that than you actually think. So since reading that book, I've kind of like always take a step back if there's like group meetings, kind of analyze what people say sometimes. I promise I'm not a psycho. It sounds very psycho. But I don't, and honestly, a lot of people do it. A lot of people enjoy being the victim without actually thinking about it, which is, I'd say, don't let that be you.
No, because ultimately, like, as you said, if you're not aware of that, you're just going to keep being a victim. And how long are you going to play the victim until you decide that you actually have the power to change the position that you're in? and by that time you've wasted a lot of years, and it's never too late. I never say it's never too late. You've always got time, but it's like you can't let that limiting belief of yourself, that mental image of being a victim, like dictate your whole life. You can't let that be your reaction to life. Like sooner rather than later, you've got to start kind of taking accountability.
Yeah,
Being a bit preachy, but I think it has to be said.
definitely. Like, I think social media as well just boosts this kind of inferior complex. I'm not
It's like
saying,
a pecking order, isn't it? It's like
yeah,
if you have like people judge people's worth by the amount of followers they have,
it's mental, isn't it?
but like you see them in real life and they're obviously just another human being. So like, what's the
Yeah,
difference between you and them? The only difference is they're more well known on Instagram. Like
exactly.
that is
And
it.
I started like limiting social media time, and I had to unfollow a load of fitness people and whatever, because literally got to the point where I'd be like, not only do I want to look like that, and it's making me almost annoyed, or maybe it's like they'll be on the business and it's annoying me that I can't do it. You get like envious and you get kind of depressed out of it. It's just like,
Yeah,
what is the point?
it's not a good
No,
spell, is it, to be
that's
under?
what I like. Now I try and use social media for like a tool. Like I share what I know about the gym,
Yeah,
something
you
like that.
create.
Yeah, or like share to the Gen Z page, something like that. I
Yeah,
try really hard now to not get caught up in stuff, and I'd urge people to do the same. Really.
yeah. So speaking further on the inferiority complex, it's actually this sort of kind of thing that we're talking about here is a chapter in the psychocybernetics book, and there's a quote that a guy called Dr. Leslie said in his book that's called Prescription for Anxiety, and he says, if we have in our minds a picture of ourselves as a fear haunted and nobody's essentially, then he basically says that we must get rid of this picture at once and hold our heads up high. Because as you said, with the victim, like playing the victim card, like nobody's going to, but people have got their own shit to deal with in their life.
Yeah,
And so do
definitely.
you. So why would you need to look for sympathy and external validation
Yeah, it's true.
when in fact to make you happier, or to you're craving that external validation for happiness, when really if you just understand that we're all on a level playing field and no one's inferior and no one's superior either, like nobody's on the other of, like there's successful people and there's people that fail, like,
Yeah,
and people that have gone the wrong way in life, but we were all given life.
yeah.
It
Well,
sounds a bit deep at the start, but like we're all on the level playing field and it's just up to yourself to then kick on and like make something of yourself, I think.
100%. I'd say again, this book that I mentioned before, Courage to Be Disliked, such a good book. Read that because it talks about this as well. And it was saying like life isn't a competition, and just that one thing alone always stuck with me, because everybody sees life as a competition. Like whatever you want to do, if you've got I don't know, like a job and somebody else has got the same job, straight away, how much do they pay you? Or
Yeah.
you're comparing yourself to how many followers this person's got or how much money they have, whatever. Focusing on other people's success does not bring you success.
Not at all.
It seems so simple, but like it's so true. It's just
Yeah.
there is no competition. Like you can't win at life.
Win at life. Like, yeah, nobody has taken first place at life. Like, it's all subjective. If you've achieved what you've wanted to achieve, then in your eyes, that's success. But success is different to everybody.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I think that's so true. And also, I think a person that deems themselves like inferior and doesn't understand that we are all kind of on a level playing field, as you said with the victim like mindset, it's like it takes all your power away from like what you could use to make something of yourself. But if you feel inferior all the time, then you constantly feel powerless in every situation. You feel like you can't dictate your life. You're just letting the punches roll, and you're just like, you're not actually reacting or like being proactive. You're just like,
actually, yeah, I was going to say you're being like reactive instead of proactive.
Exactly.
Like things happen and then you react.
Yeah, and ultimately, if you were to do that and still hold that negative, inferior self-image, then that is a ticket towards depression. That is a one-way ticket towards depression. So it's definitely not wise to have that unrealistic expectation, because it's just of yourself, because it's just not going to benefit you in any way, shape or form.
Exactly. But I was going to move on to like kind of success mechanisms and how you can overcome these. I don't know if you've got anything else to add first before you do.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine. I'm just thinking, like, what use does seeing ourselves as inferior have to us? Like, you've got to ask that question to yourself. You've got to feel like, I'm feeling this way because I feel inferior, but
what's the root of it?
I'm not. Yeah, what's the root of it, and where can I begin to change that belief system that I have of myself? And that does lead in quite well to the success mechanism, because it's all about these thoughts and these mental images that we're having of ourselves is all to do with the subconscious mind, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And as we said earlier, kind of with the subconscious, affirmations, as stupid as they sound, it's a good idea. And kind of like the whole mindset type of thing, I would give 3 books. I'd say Power of Now, Stop Worrying, Start Living, Courage to Be Disliked. Read those 3 books. Trust me, you'll be a different person.
Yeah.
I can literally guarantee it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, we have that at our disposal.
It's going to cost you 15 quid probably.
It's going to cost, like, what, like, 15 quid is literally nothing. I don't think 15 quid can buy you a decent t-shirt. Like, it really can't. So if you have a negative self-image and that you're kind of aware of that, like, as Marcus said, just purchase some books, understand that this isn't something that you only deal with, that millions of people deal with on a day-to-day basis. And like a success mechanism. Yeah, you go ahead, mate.
I was going to say there, actually, you were saying how everybody deals with it. Obviously, I'm not in a position of like having my own business or being not highly successful, whatever, right? But I'd still say, I'm assuming, right, somebody that does have a business, would still wake up and be like,
they have doubt. They have a bit of self-doubt.
That's what I mean. They still have it in the background. I find it hard to believe that there's anybody who 100% of the time in every situation is like on it, right?
Yeah, 100%. But I think a lot of people in that situation, like these successful people, they don't kind of push it to the side or they reject it. They're just self-aware.
Yeah,
they're just aware of the subconscious mind and like the thoughts that it projects, and they understand that thoughts are not you, and
literally,
and they have the mental capacity to convert them into something useful and be like, right, I have a bit of self-doubt, but I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing, and then if I have that self-doubt at the end of the day, then that's something that I've got to deal with. But but most of the time, it just leaves. It's just something. It's like bait, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just like gets thrown into your mind. You get caught onto it, and then you get in a bad cycle. But then if you just just kind of push it to the
Acknowledge
side and acknowledge, but don't accept.
Yeah, that's it.
Then
I feel like, yeah, like anybody who has achieved what they want to achieve, whether like they probably do know it's there, but because they've dealt with it so many times, they know it's just like kind of like, oh, there it is again. Ignore.
And because they probably go back, basing this off the success mechanism, they think about all the previous successes that they've had in their past, which has allowed them to understand that, right, I can do this because I've been able to do it in the past. It's just my mind is essentially, it's in a weird way, it's constantly testing me, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like it constantly tests you. It's like, can you do this? Prove it. Can you do this? Prove it.
I was going to say a good way to get out of this self-talk is actually cold showers. And the reason for that is every morning I've done cold showers, I don't know how long, like 6-7 months. Every morning I wake up and go, I don't want a cold shower. You
or
never
I can't do
enjoy it.
this.
Yeah, you never enjoy it. But if you can just go, oh, I know I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it, that can build up a lot. And I'd say, like, if you told me, I don't know when we started this, maybe like 6 months ago, that I'd be doing like video stories on my Instagram, I'd be like, fuck off. I'd never do that. But because just small little incremental changes of just, oh, there it is, I can ignore that. And I get outside the comfort zone a little bit more. I do them no issue now. And I know that might seem pathetic to some people who have, like, for me, from where I started, that is like big.
But then that's the thing, like, you're doing it because you're doing it for yourself, and it's improving your mental image that you have of yourself. So you're not doing it for others. You're not showing other people that you can do this.
Look at me, I'm recording myself.
It's like you've probably got the mindset that, oh, nobody else gives a fuck. So you're just doing it anyway, and you're doing it for yourself, and that's what I don't think a lot of people do now. They do a lot of the stuff for that validation from someone else, and like once you realize that you've just got to start doing things for yourself on your own terms, then that is ultimately what's going to like lead you down like a decent path, I think.
Definitely. I think just kind of one final thing to finish this off is, like, if you have this idea that anybody who's quote unquote made it in life is like, you see them as just so other. Like, if you see an Instagram influencer or whatever, you just view them as other. You can't relate to them. You never imagine sitting in a room with them. You got to understand that everybody just starts from nothing.
100%.
Somebody, I said this before, but like, somebody one day started Instagram, somebody one day started a YouTube channel. They first had that idea. Like, everything just starts from an idea. It's literally it. Again, it's like the book Think and Grow Rich literally says everything starts from an idea. It's true. Like, you don't really think that everybody starts from nothing. They've just kind of got through that barrier, as we said, of just, okay, I acknowledge it, but I'm not going to listen to it. And as cringy as it sounds, like, you are just as capable as anybody else. Like,
100%.
You just are. That we're all just human. Get all like philosophical here, whatever.
Like, I think it's all about having positive self-talk. Is all about having a realistic self-image that you can accept and that you're happy with, and with that comes with the beliefs that you hold of yourself, because ultimately a lot of people can have a pretty damaging self-belief that I'm perfect. So everything that I do isn't perfect, is denting my reputation, and people see that, and they're talking about the fact that I did this and that and this and that, when really a lot of them don't really care. But that's all in your mental, that's all in your mind. So being real, when I say being realistic and having a realistic self-image, is just understanding that you need to set your own personal norms and values rather than looking and comparing your standards to like someone else, because ultimately you're always going to come out second best when you compare to someone else. You're always going to find a way to say that I'm not as good as that person, and then you feel inferior, and then that cycle just goes downhill, and like it's quite hard to like get back onto like a level playing field.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially when you're like just starting out in something, right?
Yeah.
So say we just started this podcast, whatever. If we were to go, oh, but Joe Rogan's got this mic and this
Yeah.
Like, it seems so crazy to make that comparison, but I can guarantee people will. And they'll think they'll need all of this stuff because somebody else has it, even though that person's been, I don't know, building that business, doing their career, whatever.
For years.
Same with gym. I think, if I want to be a coach, well, I need to look like this top pro bodybuilder. It's like, no, he's been doing it for 20 more years than you.
Yeah. And also, like, another example would be like probably a realistic one, and probably one that people can most relate with, is like, obviously with you, online coaching. You could be starting, you're going to be starting online coaching soon, and a lot of people would be potentially be going down that field as well, and a lot of people would get sidetracked from the belief that, or comparing themselves to an established online coach with a lot of clients, and you could be like your first week and be like, how comes I haven't got any clients yet? Where are my clients? He's got 30 clients, why don't I have any clients? And it's like, you don't understand, people don't understand the persistence, the patience, and the amount of learning that you've got to do. So 100%. With time.
So yeah, to conclude, I'd just say it's important to stop measuring yourself against other people's standards and their own self-image, because that isn't you. When it comes to self-talk, any negative thoughts that pop up, it's a choice whether you listen to them. A good way to get around that: meditation, reading those 3 books that I suggested, podcasts, anything to get you in that right mood. Start your day with affirmations, whatever.
Journal, potentially. Just write down where you are mentally.
Mm-hmm. And then again, cold showers. It gets you used to saying almost no to your mind.
Exactly.
But yeah, hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Hope it was very useful for you. If you did, then please do subscribe, follow us on whatever platform you're listening on. Again, we do have an Instagram and YouTube channel as well, and me and Sam's socials will be in the description as well. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.